All right, well, howdy, guys. My name's Stockton James, and for my Persuasive presentation, I'm talking on banning abortion in America. I may have mentioned this in my past presentations, but I'm working for Senator John Cornyn, and I'm really wanting to pursue a career in legislation and politics. So I decided I was going to do a conversation that pertains to that. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but in the room, we might have some differing opinions on this presentation, but I'm not really here to, get into all of that right and left type stuff. I'm just here to kind of explain my perspective and hope to open people's eyes a little bit. So just as an overview, a lot of people have different differing opinions on what the term abortion means. So to kind of start at ground zero, I went to Google and literally typed in abortion and the definition. And Google calls it the deliberate termination of human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. When it comes to wanting to explain why I think that we should get rid of it, a lot of people can kind of pinpoint what side of the aisle I sit on and where I come from, but I'm wanting to come from not of a right or left argument, wanting to come from what does the law actually say? What have the founding fathers and what have lawmakers before me, what have they put in place, and what does the actual written law say? So according to Cornell Law School, the Right to Life Act is stated in Article 14 of the United States Constitution. You can find it, and it clearly states it prohibits states from depriving of life, liberty, or property without due process. So literally in the article, in Article 14 of the United States Constitution, we have it written to where basically says the government cannot intervene without a process that comes ahead of it. They cannot deprive anyone of life. People may like to argue that we're not depriving of life because the baby isn't born yet. However, medical professionals have agreed that life starts at conception, and there's main two reasons for that. You can get kind of wishy-washy, but the main reason why they think that it starts at conception is that the fetus does have a heartbeat, but more importantly, I don't know if it's more important than the heartbeat, but it does have its own DNA. So it is separate from its mother and father. You get into the slippery slope theory, and this really comes from the perspective of if you want to argue that abortion is okay in the United States, that's all right, but it is a slippery slope, and why that is because now you're opening up another can of worms. It basically talks about that the government can now intervene and can assist in suicides and euthanasia. We kind of already do this, depending on like your grandparents, you have it in your will. As if you're not in a current state of mind or in a good state of mind that, your loved ones can make that call. But technically, it's not really the government. It gets really tricky in that sense. But that's the slippery slope theory. My personal beliefs, just opening up, I am a Christian. I was raised a Christian. I do believe that there should be a separation of church and state. It's very important for the well-being of our country. So I try not to let my personal beliefs as a Christian, because I know that a lot of other people don't share those beliefs. Those shouldn't affect my decisions as hopefully one of these days as a lawmaker. But personally, I do believe that God is the only one that can decide where life ends and begins. I quoted 2 scriptures from the Bible that I find helpful when arguing this matter. But like I also said, I do believe in the separation of church and state. That's just on a personal level that it backs my opinion on this situation. Other people may not have that opinion, and that's all right. Just to spit some numbers and some statistics at y'all, benefits ending abortion. This is one of my main points that I like to stand on when arguing this topic. About 9% of men and 11% of women of reproductive age in the United States have experienced fertility problems. A lot of men and women, especially in the United States, for some reason, it's not as common. The United States has higher numbers than other around the world, but a lot of couples have trouble with pregnancies, just getting pregnant, and it is more common in the United States than other places. There are some statistics on that, but studies suggest that after 1 year of having unprotected sex, 12 to 15% of couples are unable to conceive after 2 years. And that is per the United States Department of Health and Safety. Some more statistics that are a little scary to me. 3.35 million couples all around the world cannot have kids due to infertility. I don't know about y'all. I want kids one of these days, and it would hurt really bad if me and my significant other could not have children. That's very important to me. A lot of other people don't see it that way. Maybe kids aren't as important to them. I still don't deem that maybe a logical reasoning for getting rid of your child. Something that's a little scary. In 2021, 625,000 abortions took place in the United States. Here's what's really scary of those guys. 128 of them were registered as medically necessary. And what that means is that 128 were registered that if the abortion did not take place, the mother was going to die. So you can do the math on that. 625 of those 625,000, only 128. Now, whether this was true, but this is what was registered, that it was going to affect the mother and needed to happen for the safety of the baby and the mother. So coming from that, I find it very important that, even if you don't want to have a kid, there are a lot of people, particularly in the United States and just all around the world, that God has just not given them the ability to have kids. And, that's something important that we need to think about. And that is from the Guttmacher Institute. Thank y'all.